it is weird to do this without. And actually, if you put them, you really feel like you're in a radio program. So I strongly suggest. Talk to the mic. Let's see what you think. Testing. 1, 2, 3. See, it's like really you are in a very professional program. Today is actually, as I was mentioning to you before, today is a very weird episode. It's a very special one because it's the 10th podcast episode, and it's the first one that for a few hiccups in the planning, we have to rely on AI. And we will talk about AI a little bit later because it has to do with education and so on. But in this case, I don't have a producer, so Adriana, thank you for coming. It's only you and I. For everyone, welcome to the last meeting of the week. The weekly podcast in which I just talk to people that I like or I feel curious about. This is made easier by my friend Neil Johnson, the owner of Why Not. That's whynot.com.hk. That he's so kind that gives 5% discount to people that use the code LASTMEET, LASTMEET, at checkout. Adriana, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I am very curious about you. I think it's very relevant to share with everyone a little bit how I came to know you. The first time I heard about you actually was when I met with Iñaki, and he was planning his project for the second term of the Chamber of Commerce. But I was in a meeting. You couldn't make it, and then when I went to the elections and I sat through all of the presentations, I have to say I thought yours was by far the best one. With a permission of Alex Fargas, who did actually a very good one, and he's fantastically genuine. You were super energetic, super fun. I have to say, you play with advantage because normally Spanish people are not very good at public speaking. But let's say, even if you had English or American, you would have done great. And I became very curious about you. I became very curious about your journey. I became very curious about what you're doing now with the Spanish school and with the MASS Preschool. And also from, digging in a little bit into what you were doing before, what happened between the journalism and the police and the education now. And all of that, I think, generates very interesting questions and topics to talk about. So Adriana, why? What motivated such eclecticism in your life?
Actually, my life motto is, failing to plan is planning to fail. So I love to plan ahead what I want to do in my life. But then as I grow older, and I found that most of the time, as Forrest Gump said, life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. So I just don't know why I end up in education. So it is something not planned in my life. I don't know how to say, but I started this because when I graduated from the university, it was the year after SARS.
Yes.
So the economy of Hong Kong was actually very bad, and there's not many opening, and a lot of jobs are laid off, and then salary cut. So when I graduated that year, the government also cut the budget. So no government department hired anyone except police force. So police force was the only government department that hired 14 inspectors in that financial year, 2004, the year of finance. Yeah. So I think over 4,000 people applied for that job, the police inspector job. And I actually applied because the application form is so short, just one page. And I think, it's easy, so why not? So I never planned to be a police officer, honestly, but I just filled in that form and I got the job. So I became a police officer.
Have you ever confessed this lack of vocation to your colleagues?
Yes, I think most of my friends, my family also know that, because when I tell them that, I'm gonna be a police, my father say, what? Like this, when you were young, you always mention about your dream and so on. So teacher and police officer is never on my list. But then I become A police officer first, and then teacher later on.
And then a teacher. But okay. Let's stay in that for a little while, because being a policeman or policewoman, it's something that requires a lot of sacrifices. I always so. Despite having been a revolutionary kid when I was young, I have a policeman in my family. So I have always seen the profession as something that was essential for the functioning of society, but always quite, how to say, not appreciated by everyone or by most people. No, you normally talk about policemen when they do something bad, even though 95% of the time they're helping people. So how do you go through such a tough career when you stumble onto it by chance?
I think first of all, you need to have passion in what you're doing. So when I become police officer, so we need to have a training 9 months in the police college. Now it's called police college. Before it's called police training school. So I spent 9 months there with my squad mates, and during that 9 months I actually have learned a lot. One of the key things is feeling proud of what I'm doing and feeling committed in what I'm doing. So I think police job is a tough job, but I think if in the front line you need to be tactful. First of all, with general public, you need to be nice, be polite,
Yes.
and you need to explain to them what you are doing. Because sometimes they are not trying to confront you. They just don't understand what you're doing. And of course, they don't understand because they are not police. They are not trained, right? So I don't mind to explain to them what I'm doing. I think this can reduce the conflict between police and also the general public. But when you deal with criminals or deal with somebody like triad members, because when I came out, I was in Yunlong, so you deal with triad as well, then you need to be tough. You need to be, you need to be forceful. You cannot step back. You cannot fear, right?
Yes.
So that's why I think police is like, you need to have different personality. Like in different situations, you need to use different skills, kind of.
Yes, it sounds like a perfect preparation for being a teacher, actually. You need to be patient, but you need to be tough at times.
Yes.
What did you do many things? How many years were you in the police force?
So I was in the police for 6 years. So when I came out from the training school, I was in the front line in Yunlong district.
Yes.
So you see the police in the street, like so patrol subunit. That's what I was in. And then after 10 months, I went to police tactical unit, which is PTU. And then at the same time, I was also the police negotiator as a secondary duty. So when somebody commits suicide, then you get a call and you go there, try to persuade them not to jump, things like that. Or in terrorism situation, then you need to be a negotiator as well. So I am also in that police negotiation cadre. And then afterwards, I was in the police public relations branch, where I was in charge of the police TV program.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, it's a fun part. And then finally, I was in Interpol before I resigned.
Wow. How could you? What did you do to separate the professional part of your day to the personal one, especially when you face things like you mentioned, people that wanted to harm themselves and you needed to talk to them, and I don't know, I'm sure that statistically, for sure, sometimes you were successful. I can imagine that maybe sometimes things didn't go as you expected. How much did it affect you, and how could you get back onto your normal life?
First of all, maybe I didn't work long enough, so all of my cases were successful.
Nice.
Yes.
All right. That's
yeah. But I also think that you need to be psychologically very strong, because I think sometimes you just need to try your best, and the result may not always be what you want. That's life, and you need to accept the fact that as long as you have done your part correctly and you didn't do anything wrong, you try your best, I think there's nothing you should, regret about or feel sad about, and that's how I tell myself, like, when I work. So just do your best.
No, it's a very good mindset, and you speak as if it was something natural. But I have to, I want to tell you, I'm sure not everyone is capable. So let's say hats off to you. So you are a negotiator, then you go into the PR section in the TV, then you go into Interpol, and then at a certain point you say, I had enough. I want to move on. When do you make that decision?
I made a decision because I would like to have a family life. Like I would like to have my daughter, and I think so. That time I chose my family.
Okay.
Like I wanted to be a full-time mom because I don't want to leave my daughter to the helper.
Yes.
Because I think in Hong Kong it's quite common that children are brought up by domestic helper.
Yes.
And I don't think it is something nice. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think a helper can replace a mom. So I quit my job so that I can be a full-time mom.
Yes, no, it is a very important topic that you bring up. My wife and I have not even 3.5, a baby daughter, which is amazing and naughty and fun. And we do spend a lot of time, of quality time with her. But we are a little bit in a constant dilemma with ourselves, because on one side, life in Europe doesn't have a helper in the picture. So it makes parents normally spend too much time working or doing chores or let's say washing dishes, cooking, going to the supermarket. And at the end of the day, yes, it's you that takes care of your children, but the time you spend with her is not quality time. You are not really paying attention. On the other side, here in Hong Kong, a lot of expats have the chance to have the domestic helper. So on one side, yes, the time that you are at home, it's focused on them, on the children. But then it's true, they spend a lot of time with and it's a pity because it's like you are, how to say, subcontracting a part of their education. It's a very difficult trade-off, to be frank. So you decide to be a mom, and I think it's a fantastic thing. So again, let's say my admiration is growing. So I take you spend a few years doing that. Then I read you because I spied on your LinkedIn profile. I have to admit. Then you do an MBA, and then you decide, okay, education is the next step. Now, what is the logic behind that move?
It's actually like, as I said, life cannot be planned. So become a full-time mom. And first of all, I am a workaholic. So being a full-time mom actually is a little bit too much for me as well. So I want to work. But at the same time, I also think the relationship between me and my ex-husband at that time doesn't work because a lot of values is different, which will affect the way the child will be brought up. That's what I think. So I wanted to be like separated and be a single mom. So financially, I need to have a job as well, right? So I was thinking like, what can I do to have a job and also look after my daughter? Because being a parent isn't easy, but being a single mom is even like more difficult because you need to be a father, you need to be a mother, and So
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, and then also think about like when I look for the school for my daughter, there are a lot of things that I agree, there are things I don't agree. So I just say, why don't I just start my own school so I can work and watch my daughter at the same time? So that's why I started the kindergarten first. So I first started the childcare center where we have the pre-nursery program for 2-year-old to 3 years old. So it was the age of my daughter at that time.
Okay.
And also we have the childcare service for 2 months old so that, parents like some expat family, they do not have helper, then they can actually drop the child to the childcare center. So we can look after the children from morning until like evening time. So after work, they come and pick up the children. So I started this at the beginning, like 12 years ago.
How easy was it to set all of this up? Because especially I imagine that having to deal with children, you need a lot of approvals, licenses, permits from the government. How difficult was it to set everything up?
It was actually very difficult because at first you don't know, so you hire a consultant, right? Yep. And then you pay them, and then you realize that they are not actually very professional neither, because in Hong Kong aren't many childcare center. So in the end, I have to look at all the regulations and so on and comply with it. So end of the opening the first school, I kind of become a half expert in the license application process.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so you were raising a child on your own. You were setting up a company, which I have a small experience in doing it, and I have to say, I think you are not one single person. I think you double up into 3 or 4 people, because otherwise I don't understand. So I said, so I imagine that now, if I get the rhythm of things, your daughter grows up, she gets to a certain point, she needs to go to primary school.
Yeah, that's why I opened primary school.
And that's when you opened the primary school.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, mamma mia! And why Spanish?
Because I learned Spanish when I was in university, and I want my daughter to learn Spanish too, because I think Spanish is a very beautiful language, and it is so rich in culture and traditions, the art, the sports, the music, everything. Like, I love it. And I love Spanish is because it's the heritage is so rich that it's not only from Spain but also from Latin America.
100%.
Yeah, so I think this is a very interesting language. So I learned when I was young, and I want my daughter to learn that as well, and I want my students to learn that as well, so that they can appreciate the culture and the heritage of Hispanic culture.
That's fantastic. When I found out that there was a Spanish school, I thought it was just merely a business decision. Like, okay, you analyze the market. Do we have a French school? Yes, many. Do we have an Italian school? Yes, we do. So let's bring in a Spanish one. And actually, one of my questions was, is the Spanish community big enough to justify building a school? And because it's not that big in Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's why we have a lot of setback when I started the school, because we apply for school premises from the government. We have the support from the consulate. We have the support from the Chamber of Commerce. We also have the support from the Latin American consulates. But in the end, we couldn't get a school premises because the EDB told us that the community is not big enough. Mm-hmm. There is no need to have a Spanish school here in Hong Kong. But what I want to say is, it's not about whether the community is big or not, but there is a niche, right? There is still a small community, is still a community. And you don't need to be Spanish to learn Spanish. You can be Chinese and learn Spanish as well, right? So I insisted that it is the right way to do it. So in the end, I funded the school with very lucky I have an angel investor, so both of us invest in the school and open the school. So we start in a very small scale, and the school is still very small scale now, but we're very happy about it because it is cozy, it is like a big family, a small community. So in the long run, we are trying to build a new school building, but we still want to keep this feeling like a big family, small
like a boutique school.
Yeah, because when it is too big, there are lots of things you can't do. Yes. Like, I can go dim sum anytime with my students. I can have dim sum with the whole school, because we only have like less than 100 students. So it's easy to go to a big Chinese restaurant and we can have lunch together. Things like that. I love
that you think that bringing 100 students to a dim sum restaurant is easy.
Yeah, we did it. We did it before. So there are things that, like, a lot of creative idea we can do it when we were small, but when you're big, there are a lot of restrictions. So I hope that our school can maintain this style, because I think it's also quite unique.
It is very interesting. It is very unique, and we will get, if you agree, into some educational principles that I'm sure that being small, it's let's say makes it easier to achieve them. When it comes to Spanish culture, actually, Frank, personally, I thank you, because I believe, especially in Asia, a Spanish government, not a Spanish Chamber of Commerce or anyone else, but I'm sorry, I'm a Spanish citizen and voter, and I'm a little bit disappointed with the international politics, because we normally don't look east. We normally look into South America, which is normal and natural. They are our brothers and sisters, and we speak the same language, and we share the same culture, and it's a very rich culture. But somehow internationally we forget about Far East, Asia Pacific, and other countries that don't have cultural links to China, to Hong Kong, to any Southeast Asian countries are much more present, like Italy. Italy, when you come to this part of the world, you believe that Italy is a more important country worldwide. And I mean, they're a fantastic country. I work for Italians, and my wife is Italian, and everything is fantastic. But there are only 60 million people. When you're talking about Spanish, Spanish is in the Olympus of cultures. You have Chinese, almost 2 billion. Then you have English, because everyone speaks English, and then it's Spanish. That's it. So I think it's fantastic what you're doing. And if it wasn't because it's a little bit far, I promise you I would send my daughter, because my daughter speaks English quite well, Italian, unluckily for me, unfortunately, better than Spanish. And now Spanish is the third one that I'm trying to push a little bit. You mentioned that you studied Spanish in school. How was that learning? Was that learning, let's say, merely language, or you got to experience culture, films, literature? How was the experience of studying Spanish in Hong Kong?
Okay. I was quite different because I experienced the culture first, and then I like it, and then I decided to learn the language.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I was in the secondary school at that time. I really loved the movie of Almodovar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so and that is one of the reasons why I learned Spanish. And at that time also because of the tennis player. I love tennis. I don't play tennis, but I love to watch tennis. So Ferrero was playing at that time is really well. So that's one of my motivation to learn Spanish. That's why when I went to university, I decided to learn Spanish.
All right. Did you visit Spain?
Yes, many times.
Many times. Which parts have you been to Spain?
I've been to the south. I've been to Madrid, Barcelona, the north part as well. So north part this summer, I went to Barcelona, and then I went to Bilbao, and then all the way to the Camino.
Yes.
Yeah. So to the end, and then I went to Portugal. Went down to Portugal from there.
It passes through my city, actually. I am from Oviedo, from Asturias.
Oh, I went to Oviedo. I love it. I love it. It's so beautiful.
Which is the part that you like the most?
You mean Oviedo? And then Oviedo, the art, you can find art, sculpture everywhere. It's very artistic. And then the people is muy simpáticos. Very nice people as well.
Thank you very much. You are fantastic. How long ago was the last time you went?
It was just this summer, like in July.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. I didn't go this summer. So see, no, good for you. I just had the chance to spend 5 days, and even though I love my life in Hong Kong, and for whatever reason there is something about living in Asia that I cannot stay away from. Going back to Spain is always a super nice experience. It fills you with joy, the way that people live out from their home. In the bars, easy, relax, is super, super nice.
It's natural. It's your home, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is your home. Yeah. I consider I've been traveling around for a while. I'm 36, and I lived in Spain, lived in the US, lived in Thailand, lived in China, and now I live here. I lived in Italy as well, and I am lucky enough to call home at least 4 or 5 places. But there is something of when you go back to Madrid, there is a special smell. There is something that I don't know how to describe that is super nice. But anyway, let's go back to you, because this podcast is about Adriana Chan, not Fernando Mendez and his dissertations about the Spanish culture. What is the typical student of the Spanish school, of the Spanish primary school in Hong Kong? Do you have local students? Do you have Spanish students, international ones? How does the mix look like?
I think we are like half and half local students and half students with foreign passport. And the students with foreign passport come from many places like France, Spain, South America, Australia, Israel, Australia, England, Japan, Korea, like Singapore, you name it. So it is half of the students are from international background, and some are more from local background.
do they choose the Spanish school just because of the Hispanic element, or are there any other characteristics that you feel especially proud about your school that people, let's say, that are deal makers for parents to decide on bringing their kids to your school?
I think one of the key factor that the parents choose a school is because they appreciate our passion in education. As I've said, although I never thought of being a teacher, but once I decided to open a school, so I put like 200% of passion in what I'm doing. So I think this is the personality, that this is who I am. Like, as long as I decided to do something, I will try my best and do the best, and so I think this kind of passion like kind of move a lot of parents. That's why they put the trust in our school and choose our school as well. So I think at the beginning our school was small, when there is not many advertisement and so on. People just come to our school because other school is full. But now I think people come to our school because they choose us, like, because they like our philosophy, I would say.
Excuse me. Mamma mia. Obviously, I'm going to edit out all of these coughs, and they're not contagious, by the way. I can tell you, I'm healing from a bronchitis that I got in Europe, and I know it's not contagious because my wife has been sleeping with me for a month and she hasn't got it. So be sure.
Okay, don't worry.
This is a healthy room. Talking about the philosophy of your school, and talking from the point of view of a concerned parent about the future of my children's education, how is the teaching style in Hong Kong nowadays? Because I am a little bit worried. I grew up raised a little bit in an old school way, meaning a lot of respect for the teachers, a lot of discipline, not corporal punishment or anything like that, but let's say an environment in which there was a very clear authority and respect for that. As I grew up and I was looking at the younger generations, I saw that the style of education was more about, being kind with the child, being very permissive, especially in the West, especially in Europe and in the US. And I started seeing that with a lot of concern because, I knew that eventually I was going to have a kid. And I believe I was raised quite okay. I like the style in which I was educated. Let's say in public schooling in Asia, from what I know, that authority figure, that respect, the discipline is still a very important factor. Now, when we go into an international school, what's the reality? How does it look like? Is there somehow does your school reflect somehow more Western style or more, let's say, Asian? Is it a mix?
I think I don't comment on other international school, but for our school, I think we do what we think is right. So it's not like Western or Chinese way, but I think discipline is necessary because we're human. So it is in our nature that we lack discipline. So we need somebody to tell us, right? To tell us the importance of discipline, to mold us to the right way. So I think first of all, for the school, discipline is important. But how you execute the discipline, like do you use punishment? Do you use positive reinforcement, or how you do it is a key issue here. So in our school, we want to be more encouraging. Like we don't want to make students do things because I tell you to do it, because I'm the principal, I'm the teacher, you do it. But rather we want to make them understand why they have to do it and why we're pushing them to do it, like homework or some project, or there's some exam that we want you to really get prepared, we want you to revise, things like that. We try to explain to them the reason behind. And of course there's some some students, when they grow up, at the beginning, the parents need to also assist at home. Like we want to tell parenting is also very important because, you know, majority of the time the kids spend time with the parents. So we also need to educate the parents, like the importance of having discipline and sense of responsibility. So that's why even we're international school, we send homework every week. We want kids to have a habit of, you know, be responsible for their own learning as well from very young age. So we don't actually expect parents to sit there and do the homework with them or for them, but rather set up a area, you know, give them a quiet space, and then make them understand, okay, this is your time, you need to do your job, and then afterwards you can play, you know, these kind of things. So we can see now the students are growing. Finally, they are like, when they're like 8 or 9, they can be able to do homework by themselves without the parents pushing them. Some kids maybe at the age of 11, they can be independent now without the parents pushing them. But we can see over the last 7 years, the kids are actually progressing.
Yes.
Yeah, so we were quite happy about the result. I think it is something very important that the parents and the school cooperate together.
It happens in Europe, for example, that and what I'm saying comes from direct testimonials from teachers. Sometimes it is tough to deal with parents because they are overprotective of their kid, because somehow, and to me it doesn't fit in my brain how some parents can be like this, but they believe that their kid is always right and their kid is a saint and they don't do anything wrong. When I was brought up the opposite way, if there was any doubt, it was always my fault, and that I applied to my daughter. And sometimes I make a mistake, but it's better that I make that mistake and not the opposite one. Do you find this problem also here? Like, you know, parents being overprotective of their child, or normally they are quite cool and they trust you?
I think, you know, you have all kinds of parents. I think sometimes you also have some parents that they are very overprotective, or sometimes you have parents, they think that, oh, we pay the school fee, so they are the clients and they are the boss, kind of like. So, which I think it is not the right attitude, because we are talking about education. You're paying for their education, but still, because if parents themselves, they don't respect the school or the teachers, how will you expect your child to respect the teachers? And I think respect is a core value of our school. Like, we want to be respected. We also respect the children as well. I think for children, they are individuals. We also respect them. You know, they have their needs, they have their difficulties, or they have their, you know, we sometimes we need to also be at the children's shoe, you know, like to understand their feelings and so on. But I think respect is something very important. It's mutual, parents, school, and the children. But I would say, as the time passes, we are very lucky. We have a lot of great parents who are very understanding and supportive. And I always say to the parents, it's because of their trust and their respect, and that motivates us to work better, to improve as well. Nobody is perfect. Like, every day is learning. There's a lesson to learn for everyone, right? So I think, but imagine if you're every day having a parent's disrespect, adopting your decision, or complaining about, oh, you're doing this and that. How can you motivate the teachers to teach better, right?
It doesn't make any sense. It's like if you go to the doctor that you're paying and you're telling them what to do. No. It actually, you're paying for someone to tell you what to do. You should actually... I believe you said that before. Parenting should also be done by the parents. I should now unveil the fact that half of my family are teachers or professors. And I always listened at home when I was a small kid that, you know, sometimes parents, they expect that we educate their children. No, we have to teach them stuff. They should be educated at home. But if however, they're going to spend a lot of time with a certain adult, they should follow what the adult says. Otherwise, the system gets upside down, and we know from history what happens when we put students telling teachers what to do. So I'm very happy about what you're telling me, by the way. I feel very reassured, even a little motivated to move closer to Tai Po. I'm going to ask you another difficult question. What do you think about screens, about devices? What is your personal opinion as a mom? And then we can talk about how that influences school.
I think if you're from the professional angle, like of course the screen time, lots of people say it's not good, and then it's not good for the vision, not good for a lot of things, or it will impair your quality time with the kids. But as a parent, like screen, like iPhone is the easy way out.
Yeah.
Right, iPad is an easy way out. When you want to have a quiet dinner, like you just like, okay, shh, like, okay, this is the phone. But for me, I mean, to strike a balance, I also have a 2-year-old daughter, and I can see that like screen time is not necessarily bad for kids. They do learn a lot of things from TV, from the phone. But as a parents, we need to make sure the content is appropriate for them, and we also need to set the time limit. As I said, like, you know, kids can get addicted to screen time, you know, to the phone. Like when they don't have it, they have bad tantrum and so on. So you don't want that, right? You don't want your kids to be addicted to the gadgets, to the iPhone, iPad. So for me, I will set a time limit. So, and then ensure what they're watching is educational, and then they can enjoy the time. But after that, like, I would take away the phone. And one rule is dinner time, no phone, no iPad, because I think when you're having dinner time or family time, I want to have a quality time. So put that away.
Yes, you need to have conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super important. Again, maybe a little bit old school, but I don't think I'm saying things that are crazy.
Yeah.
But when I was at home, and I don't have a perfect family, but we spoke a lot on the table. And I think that is fundamental. And I see my kid, and she speaks a lot, and I think it's fantastic. We do allow her to watch 1 or 2 cartoons per week, so maybe we are a little bit strict. But I am very scared about the effect that those constant screen exposures can have in attention span and creativity. Do you notice a change or certain challenges when it comes to this attention span of younger students?
Yeah, I do, from my students, especially after the the COVID, a lot of long school suspension. A lot of the children, they spend a lot of the time on the screen during the school suspension period, which is obviously quite natural because e-learning, right? So they have the reason to have their own phone or iPad or computer, and then after the e-class, then they will continue to do whatever they want with the computer. So I do think that sometimes when kids they lack concentration in class, it's because I asked them, what are you thinking about? Like, they told me, I'm still thinking about the games that I'm playing. Like, it does affect children, like, But that's why I always say, if parents they think that, okay, I can give them some screen time, but just set a good time limit. 30 minutes, whatever, like, and then that's it. And then you need to make sure they have a good balance, like activities like exercise and, different kind of activity during the day, not just screen time after school until they go to bed.
I totally agree. You need to be brave to take the device away from them, even though sometimes, especially at the beginning, they become crazy. One time my mom, she came to visit us in April, and I actually went out from the city for a business trip, so she stayed looking after my kid, and she did it with super good intention, and probably I would have done the same. After dinner, she would put Tom and Jerry cartoons for like 20 minutes. That's it. When Olivia, my daughter, had to go to bed, it was chaos. And normally she's quite a respectful kid, but she became nasty, yelling, and I got scared. I said, okay, no more Tom and Jerry. And then, so now, we solved the problem by erasing the origin. But yeah, I worry maybe a little bit too much about these things. Also because I think it's important that the kids develop their own creativity. And if they spend a lot of time in front of a device that funnels stimuli to their brain, they don't have the time to actually create stuff. What other challenges, apart from the ones that we mentioned, do you face when educating this new generation born in the aughts, in the 2000s?
I think I find motivating the kids the most difficult, because we have we have students that grow up with us from kindergarten to primary, and those kids, they are generally very good kids, very motivated, very shameless, I would say. They enjoy singing, they enjoy performing. Whatever you tell them to do, they are happy to do it. Like, they are very happy students. But we also have students that joining from other school or from other country, like and sometimes I found that motivating them is a little bit difficult, or changing the habit that they have.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a couple of more questions, and we are perfectly on time, so we are doing great. Being from Hong Kong, actually, one of the reasons why I'm super happy that you came to my podcast, and I thank you one more time, is the fact that when I started doing this, I wanted to talk to people, and then after a few episodes, I realized that I wanted to make a point in bringing people from Hong Kong, because sometimes the expat community lives in their own bubble, totally separated from the locals, and it's a great pity. It's a great pity because sometimes you miss important points of views. You miss cultural cues that make you grow, make your life richer and more interesting. And in this line, I wanted to ask you, because Hong Kong is an amazing city. One of the most special things about it is the fact that a lot of people come to Hong Kong because they feel that what they find here cannot be replicated anywhere else. Maybe in London, maybe in New York, but the tier one of the cities is only, in my opinion, made of these three. However, the city has gone through tough times for a number of reasons between 2019 up to pretty much yesterday. How do you see the future of the city in the upcoming years? This is the $1 million question.
Of course, I'm born and raised here. I hope Hong Kong will become better and better, and I also have faith that Hong Kong will become better and better. I think for all the cities, all the countries, you always go through ups and downs. It is natural. You can not always go up, and there's always ups and downs. But the important thing is, did we learn our lesson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So are we prepared if in the future something happen again? How are we gonna deal with it more efficiently? I believe that last few years, not only the government but also Hong Kong people have learned a lot of things. We learned a great deal. I think we have grown a lot. There, of course, unfortunately, some separation, some gap between people. But I am confident and positive that we will overcome that, and then we will become one big family again.
Yes.
I really don't like the idea that people got segregated by colors, and I hope that I believe that in the future we will become in the past very in a harmony, but also we will improve in many ways. But also you need to look at the environment worldwide, the politics and so on worldwide. Now that the whole world is not quite stable, and I am always feel very, very glad that I'm born in Hong Kong, because I think we're very blessed. I think one of the key lessons I learned over the last few years is that Hong Kong people, they don't know that how lucky they are. They take everything for granted.
I agree.
So this is the things that I think a great lesson for us, all of us, to learn and try to cherish what we have, and hopefully the things that we have now we can pass on to our next generation.
100%. I think you hit the nail in the head. First of all, if you look at every country nowadays has some problems. I don't think maybe Switzerland. Or Liechtenstein, but apart from very, very small realities, everywhere is messed up. I have my own theories, social media, plus many years of progress and abundance, plus losing sight of giving things for granted, as you said. And in Hong Kong, it's one of those places in which people that maybe grow up and live their life in the city, they believe that certain things are normal. They believe that having an airport from which you can actually land and in 1 hour open the door of your home is something normal. No. Normally, guys, you need to spend 4 or 5 hours. You sometimes they believe that if you are successful and you buy yourself a nice watch, it's normal to be able to walk on the street with that watch on your wrist. Guys, if you go in London, in Milan, in Madrid, you need to leave the watch in the bank. You cannot go on the street because someone will steal it from you. As much as it is a very intense city, and sometimes people are a little bit rough because everyone is fighting for their own survival, there is a lot of respect, and the amount of crime is quite low, or at least is almost invisible to people that are not in the police force. So no, I think the city is fantastic. I think the world and Hong Kong as part of the world needs to make peace with itself, look at the positive and just follow to that. And I think people like you are extremely important in this sense, because you are super positive, and in this conversation you gave me the same type of energy that I got from that speech you gave in the Chamber of Commerce. By the way, congratulations! You got elected. You got elected. I think it was what, number 1, number 2, number 3.
Number 4, but
number 4.
Yeah.
Number 4 out of 20. I don't know how many candidates there were.
I don't remember, 12, 13. I don't know.
So so you won without any type of question. And now we have a new board in the Spanish Chamber of Commerce, of which I am a member. So I have the right to ask, what can we expect from the chamber in the next couple of years? What are the plans? What are you guys cooking?
It is actually my 3rd time in the board of directors of the chamber, and I hope that this will probably my last one, because after this I need to step down for a while because of the article of association. We can only do 2 times in a row, and I hope that like in these 2 years, which I think the last board has already done, like now we are financially more stable, so it means that we can also do more things. And because of the COVID, a lot of events has been cancelled and has been forgotten. So I hope that in this board we can bring back a lot of events, not just networking events monthly, like when people or the Westerners just come together. We're living in our bubbles, as you have said.
Yep.
But we would like to connect more to the local community, for example, SME or the local Chamber of Commerce, so that we can bring more business opportunities, you know. And then second, we can do more things about economic forum, for example, some topic that is interesting for most of our members and so on. So we want to do more business events in addition to what we are doing, the networking events.
Fantastic. I look forward to them. Adriana, one more time, thank you for coming. This episode was about you. So I follow since the beginning one practice that I like, which is to let the guest have the last word. So that is your camera. You can look at everyone. Tell everyone whatever you want, what you have going on in your life. And whether you like the podcast, whether people have to come on the podcast, listen to the podcast, subscribe, or just forget about it. Anything is free. It's your turn. Go ahead.
Okay, so thank you very much for having me. It's actually a fun experience for me. This place is amazing, and you're amazing. Like, this project, I think, is very interesting and it's very meaningful as well. So I have just one last word to young people in Hong Kong. Doesn't matter where you're from or any audience around the world. Like, I think it is very important for our young generation to really understand, to strike a balance among the ambition, their ability, and effort. So this is my observation in education field for last 10 years. Like, I find that the young people nowadays, they always they aim high but they don't have the ability, or either they have the ability and they aim high but they don't have the effort. And when they don't, and then that's why they cannot achieve. And when they cannot achieve, they will put the blame on the government, on the parents, on the government, society, whatever. But in my generation or in the way I grew up, I don't blame anyone. Just try hard, and you can do it.
Yes.
Life is not fair. That's the fact. It's like the book I'm teaching now, Animal Farm. All animals are equal. Sorry, no.
Yes.
Nobody, there's no equality here in this world. But before you put the blame or you complain about life, complain about God, complain about parents, society, just have self-reflection.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love it. Ability, ambition, ability, and effort. I think it's an amazing, a super beautiful message. Adriana Chan, founder of the Spanish School, founder of MASS Preschool in Causeway Bay, and member of the board of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for coming. If you ever want to come back to say anything important, this is your house. Thank you. Look forward to hearing from you again very soon.
Thank you very much. I will bring my students here
Yes,
one day.
yes.
Yeah.
Bravo, we can do one.
Yeah.
Ciao everyone. Order a lot from whynot.com.hk. Thank you everyone for making it to the end, whoever you are, and see you next week. Have a nice weekend. What do you think?
Yeah, I
Did you have
enjoy
fun?
it a lot. Yeah, I have fun. I have a lot of fun. My last interview, I don't remember. That's a long time ago. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I love. Yeah.
The